Welcome to episode 5 of Becoming Bully-Proof. This episode is called The Hidden Wounds. And welcome again, Sumoné. I say every time welcome again, it's like people think you're going to go away. You're not. We're going to go right through this with you here the whole time. So last time we spoke about the parental influence and support and how to handle things at home a bit and when growing up. But this week we're going to speak about what is left in children, because children, once they're bullied, there's some wounds and so on. So in your experience in counseling, what are some of the less visible emotional wounds that children carry, even long after this bullying has stopped?
So definitely emotional detachment is one of the biggest things. Self-esteem that takes a knock, if I can say it in that way. But also the whole idea of struggling to actually find someone to, have a secure relationship with, an emotionally secure relationship that is actually safe. And some of these children actually go forward in their life and they struggle to form these relationships because they are scared of what happened and they're scared of that happening again.
The other thing I think of is, once you've broken down somebody's self-confidence and self-esteem, it's very difficult. It's easy for them in later years to slide back into that, I'm not good enough, nobody likes me, or whatever the case might be. And that stays long after.
Yeah.
And you don't, the other problem I see is you don't need a long bullying episode. You need a short period you can do it and create that emotional trauma for the rest of their life.
And it all comes back to the quiet onset, the whole idea of a physical, thing that you do towards someone. It actually has the same effect as physically getting injured. It really stays long.
All right. So if you have repeated exposure to bullying, how does it shape the child's developing sense of self, as we just spoke about it now, particularly in relationship to identity, self-worth, and the internal sense of safety?
So a repetitive behavior and bullying behavior actually starts to form the whole idea of this is happening to me to this is who I am. So that whole shift around self-worth and identity, it takes a shift and a change, but also the whole idea of a sense of safety. So these children, like I just mentioned now, they don't have safety. And that really impacts the whole idea of forming peer relationships, but also going forward, perhaps romantically or friendship-wise.
So what are some of the emotional or nervous system responses that can develop in a child who experience ongoing bullying, even if they are seemingly coping with it?
So there is 3 things that can actually happen. So a higher level of stress activation, meaning that they will be on high alert and hypervigilance. So they will constantly scan their environment. They will be perhaps in a freeze, withdrawal, or total shutdown state. Or they will comply with every behavior that this bully actually, press down to them, because they will just say yes and amen to their behavior because they are actually scared of saying no.
And once they've gotten into that pattern, it stays there.
Yes.
It's easier to get you into that pattern than out.
Yes.
If early experiences in bullying in a childhood's development, how does it influence their future? I think we've touched on this already. Their future relationships, in terms of trust, boundaries, emotional regulation, how does that shape that into the future?
So the whole idea of boundaries and safety actually leaves the door. Hypervigilance stays now, and your amygdala, which is a small part of your brain, is in constant alert. So it scans for danger and threat, usually, and a normal amygdala works every 20 seconds. So unconsciously it scans. But for these children, it actually stays there. So not just every 20 seconds, but literally every second. So boundaries, it leaves the door. Safety, it leaves the door. But also the whole idea of these children won't be able to form emotionally secured relationships. They won't be able to if they're in this constant hypervigilant and amygdala overstimulated state.
Now, what do you think, why do you think the emotional impact of bullying is underestimated? I think we've also mentioned that early in this talk. And what do we need to change to respond to these hidden wounds?
So that is literally why it's called the hidden wounds, because we can't see it. But it really has a tremendous impact on children and their daily life. So for example, if you get physically injured, you'll be able to see the wound and you will close it and you will, give some medicine for it to heal. But emotional wounds we can't see. So we actually just sweep it under the mat because we think we're okay, but actually we aren't okay. And if we don't deal with it, it actually comes up in situations that we don't want to. So really dealing with emotional wounds as we would with physical wounds.
Well, I think if I can maybe shape it this way as well, we tend to have a mask on, and we say everything is okay and so on, and then one day it boils over, and then people don't understand, and sometimes that emotional boiling over is part of what they've gone through when they were young.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the end for this week. Thank you very much. Remember, if you want a consultation, you need a consultation, you think there's something wrong with that you've noticed either by observing bullying behavior or being bullied, please contact Sumoné, and all the details we have put on the description and on the video. And thank you for watching us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.